outside of our and drawing up contracts, right? It's a lot more that we do. And hopefully you'll get some nuggets from this class today to help you along that journey. Everything that we've learned here at Keller Williams is always backed by the premise that it's proven things that have worked, right? Best practices. Gary Keller wrote the MREA based off of interviewing other agents across the country to see what works for them. How are they able to create $1 million net business in real estate? And he took all of those best practices and then created what we know now as the MREA. Very similar to that is what we teach in Ignite. And this Ignite session is on win with buyers. This is exception number 14. This is part of the curriculum that I teach in my productivity coaching program. And the goal of anything that we teach in KW, oh, by the way, I am a certified Keller Williams University instructor. That is something I'm very proud of. I worked for 2.5 years on obtaining that. So that's why I'm able to now go and travel to other market centers and teach. So I am a huge proponent of what Keller Williams University puts out in terms of their resources and their information. Of course, my own experiences in my field and what I do in sales, which I instill in sales as well, does lend itself to what I teach in the classroom. However, I am a big proponent of if it works, teach it, and if it's taught properly and if it's comprehended properly, then it will work for whoever's being taught to. So a lot of what we've learned today is going to be system-based and model-based off of things that have worked in the past. You can tweak it and create your own creativity or add your own special sauce to it. However, I'm not sure if you've seen this pyramid before, and excuse me to my people who are on Zoom who may not be able to see, but the foundation of whatever you create in your business should also always be founded fundamentally on models, proven models that have worked for other successful agents. We can add our own creativity in there as well on top of a foundation based off of models. This is our disclaimer. Warning, you must comply with the TCPA and any other federal, state, or local laws, including for B2B calls and texts. Never call or text a number on the do not call list. None of us are doing that, right?
Nope.
All right, awesome. Fair housing, obviously we know about that. So the course overview, we're in the transaction portion in the Ignite series. They teach you first how to come from a mindset of being a real estate expert. Another thing that I love about the way KW organizes and constructs their curriculum is it always begins with mindset, right? And having the holistic approach to educating our real estate agents, because we believe that if you are a great person, if you have the right mindset, then as a byproduct of that, you will be a phenomenal salesperson. So it talks about sparking your career, embracing your job, connecting with your market, and defining your value. What is it that you bring to the table that separates you from your competition, both inside the market center and outside the market? Then we go into lead generating your leads. Where do you typically get your leads from? Does anyone want to share? Where does the majority of your leads come from? Facebook, okay. Are you purposeful in marketing towards Facebook, or that's just organically what has occurred?
So
And your name, please?
Damaris.
Damaris.
So I do, I'm like very,
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not.
No, it's all right.
But I do treat Facebook like it's my, your LinkedIn,
Correct.
and I interact a lot, so like social relationships. And, I get like pulled all the time, just, hey, a friend recommended me, they saw you on Facebook, and I'll look up the person, I'm like, I don't even know who this is.
Yes.
So that's kind of where the majority of my, and very organic, I don't put money by it, it's just, I like, when I first decided to use it that way, I started like friending everybody that I can see that was in the area, interact with their posts, stuff like that, and I kind of like create these like, parallel, relationships that I'm like, sometimes I'm walking in the street and somebody will randomly ask for me.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Be in ShopRite last weekend. Someone looking at me, they're waving, I'm looking behind like, oh, the man, she's like, you. But it was from social media, and people obviously feel like they know you,
They
right?
do.
Because we share so much more live.
They're like, how do you know your daughter's away in college?
Yep, yep.
I must have thought that I was struggling, but,
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's kind of how,
It's funny because, my best friend, he actually told me this years ago. He said social media literally, eliminated the small talk. Right? Like whenever you met with someone that you haven't seen in a while,
Yeah.
you start with small talk. How's the children? How's the job? But social media eliminates that. So now I'm like, Lord, let's just get right to it.
Right.
But that's great. So your business, what would you say percentage wise?
so I would say 60 Facebook, 40 other metrics.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, awesome, very nice, thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share where the majority or of your leads come from?
So Sphere,
Okay.
so yeah, Sphere referral, fast client referral, and then I get a lot of sign calls where somebody saw my listing, called it up. That's, yeah,
You said
right now,
4 years
right
you've
now,
been in
I'm
the business?
buyer.
You said about 4 years you've been in the business?
About,
Okay, and has it always been that way for you, referral and sphere?
yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, that's right.
awesome, awesome, thank you. Anyone else want to share? Okay, so once you generate the leads, obviously you're gonna grow your database. We all use command, right? Yeah. Okay, all right, it's an amazing resource. We pay for it every month in our technology fees. So I always tell my agents, you not using it, you're literally throwing money down the drain. Like this is, you pay for this every month, use it. It's very important. And it's not about obviously just generating the leads, but also having a system in place where you can follow up with them systematically. Now, lead follow-up is obviously what I just mentioned, building stronger relationships. That's essentially what lead follow-up is. Why do we need to follow up? If I meet someone in November and they say, oh, I'm thinking about selling my house in the spring. You say, okay, great. Look forward to helping. And then the spring comes around and you see on social media, on Facebook, that they just sold their home. What happened in between November and then in the spring when they sold it? What didn't happen? Top of mind is the reason why we follow up. Understanding that because I spoke with someone at some point doesn't mean they're necessarily going to remember to use me. They may have had all intentions when they saw me in ShopRite to use me, or when they reached out to me on social media and DM'd me. But again, we're all human beings. We all do it. At the same time, McDonald's doesn't stop their commercials. How many commercials do we see about McDonald's, Toyota, right? Polo doesn't stop sending me those text messages, 30% off. They don't get me every now and again. That's why I keep sending them. But it's because no matter how large a company gets, you still have to continue to market and brand and follow up to stay top of mind. Absolutely. Now, once we get them, once we solidify them as a client, now the transaction portion of things begin. And that's what we're going to focus on this morning. So, Gary Keller says, the right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Just ask for it. The right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Just ask for it. What do you think Gary meant by that?
For the business.
Okay, tell me more.
So I struggle with, when I'm staying in contact, like I struggle with asking always, because I have this like, feel like, do I sound like a person? So, I've always struggled. Even like as I close the deal, so many of my colleagues will, if you guys know anybody who wants to buy a house, let me know. And I always struggle with that, like asking for business. But I do think if I would be more aggressive with that, I would get.
So that sounds like a limiting belief.
Yeah, so, I'll ask for it, and like, I kind of, when I had these conversations, I kind of just like, I'll talk about business and when you're a realtor, people always ask
Sure.
you know, and then,
How's the market?
right, and then I'll kind of go in something, yeah, you let me know if I can help you or your friends, but to just like, you're like, forward to that, because I hate time. That's like my,
Okay,
it just doesn't fit.
now, do you,
It doesn't feel genuine.
okay, is it genuine?
If I'm-
When you're giving, it, when you're asking,
So,
is it genuine? What are your
I do-
intentions?
no, like, my intentions are to like help as many people as I can, right?
Mhm.
But there's a part of me who just hates that, like,
Sure.
the salesperson part of our industry. So that, I kind of like struggle.
Understood. So does anyone else struggle with the ask? Whether it's for the referral, whether it's for the business, whether it's to sign the listing agreement?
Yeah.
You said you're shaking your head no. Why? Is it not a struggle for you? Explain to us your mindset about it. Maybe that can help us.
To do it. Come from the sales background.
Okay.
I already kind of feel, I am the sleeping sales.
Okay.
But like, but I,
It's the same place.
but after that part, like, hey, you have anybody that you know that I need to say very, you know, don't get me wrong, there's a time for fluff and
Correct.
but then
Correct.
I think that whenever I'm working with people, I think one of the things that I do rather well, whether it's genuine confidence or not,
Mhm.
often it's not, but I've made, you know, I want to make other people feel confident, right?
Mhm.
And I think so relaying that, and so I think they kind of know me as that, you know, hey, Andrew's gonna take care of it, like, it's gonna be all right. And so I think whenever I ask those people, I think they have that confidence, like, hey, Andrew's gonna take care of it.
Correct.
So if I wanna help the people that I know, you know, I feel confident in saying, hey, Andrew, can you reach out to this person because they, you know, I kind of have that rapport.
Correct.
Uh,
That's actually a really
so I don't
good
mind.
point. It's a really good point. I was actually going to pivot into that. I'm going to say, if you believe in your heart that you are the best person for them, or someone that they know, then you're actually doing a disservice by not asking them, by not saying, who do you know that I can also help be of service? Because a lot of us get into this business because we want to help people. Right. You said you want to help, you know you can help more people if you ask to help more people. You gonna share?
Well, I have two things. The worst somebody's gonna say is.
Yep.
And for people that say, and I wrote it down because we hear it a lot, like Damaris that say, like, I just hate being that sales.
Yes.
How do you get through that limiting belief?
Mm-hmm.
What's the mind shift that you need
Correct.
to break through that? Because
Correct.
you are a salesperson. You are.
You are.
Do what you're afraid of.
And so is everybody else out there.
Correct.
Like, everybody's trying to
Everybody's
sell
selling something. Absolutely.
in some way, shape, or form. So how do we take that connotation away from it that we're, you know, used car salesmen
Mm-hmm.
and not be afraid to just ask for the business?
Yeah.
I'd like to layer in that, especially because the majority of the room today is women, and Andrew being the only male,
Yeah.
he's saying, I have no problem asking.
Correct.
And I find it interesting because statistically speaking, that's, you know, part of the pay gap for women is because we don't ask. We don't ask for the raise, we don't ask for the promotion, we don't ask for the referral, we don't ask for the
Oh, yeah, you definitely go
contract to
deep.
be.
And to expand on that too, the other thing is, people naturally trust women more than they
Oh,
trust men.
1,000%.
Like, it's
And
like,
yet
it's
we're
not-
the most afraid to ask.
Yes.
They look at me as, they look at the guys that, is the please, whereas women, they're like, oh my gosh, how are you guys doing?
Yeah,
And-
you can finish it out.
Right.
Okay, well, I didn't plan on the conversation going that way, but wherever the class takes it, that's where we're going.
Yeah, well,
Exactly. Love it. So the ask, getting over the ask is obviously something that's really critical. I think the part that we need to be mindful of is whether or not it's stopping us from reaching our full potential. If not asking is stopping you from getting more business, right? To being more, to living your life by design through the service of helping others. We can't, we have to break through that fundamental ceiling of achievement or that mindset that's stopping us from going to the next level. Because that could be the one thing that changes everything. Definitely could be. So an A buyer, talking about what is an A buyer, it's basically just explaining that an A buyer is someone who is ready, willing, and able to do business with you. This is the model for lead generating. Raise your hand if you do not have access to this. The lead gen model. Okay, perfect. So we're all
That's
good
say
there.
no one.
I'm looking at everybody. It's better not.
You can tell me where they find it.
Exactly. Oh. Pretty like, don't embarrass me in front of company. So, the 7 steps to the buyer service cycle. This is actually this is on page 14.3 in your handout. If you want to turn there. Step 1 is obviously leads to the appointment. Step 2 is preparing for your buyer consultation. How do you prepare for your buyer? Well, let's first ask who's having buyer consultations and how have they been going since the lawsuit, pre and post.
Mine have been good. All of my buyers since then have been referrals from previous clients, so it's been so far so good. But I'm also seller heavy right now, not so much buyer, so
Okay,
there's not been many, but the ones I have had have.
yes, very good. What's made them good?
I know. Listen, this is the first time I can say that. I'm sorry, what was your question?
What's made them good? Should they've been good? What's it about them that has been good?
I think it's because honestly, the previous buyers who are referring them have really hyped me up, so they already come in, you know what I mean? So it's like, my guys have been kind of doing the work for me,
Correct.
so they come in and, yeah, it's just, I don't know. And I think that also, now finally having a couple years in, I'm becoming more confident.
Mhm.
Whereas before, I did not have any confidence in what I was doing. I was like, this is new, like, hope we're gonna get through this, guys, hopefully, yeah.
And did you get through it?
Yeah,
You did
and
get
I got
through it.
referrals, so
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Awesome. What, one last follow-up question, if you don't mind. What do you think has lended itself most to your confidence from before compared to now?
My buyers just like so happy, you know what I mean? Like the reviews from them,
Okay.
them being like,
Okay.
I keep getting texts like, oh my gosh, we love our house even more. I bought a house last year and the Blue Angels are flying over and this weekend they're like, we thought we couldn't love this anymore and you did this for us. So that kind of thing, yeah.
So the feedback that you've been
Yeah,
getting.
the feedback, yeah.
Made you feel like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, and I have, like, there's only been one scary one that I was like, I don't know if we're gonna do this guy, you know what I mean? Now that was where I was like, I don't know if this is for me anymore, but no, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
How have your consultations been going? Have you been having them and how have they been going?
Yeah, no, I think I think they're doing really well. I just, yeah, I mean, I think a big, so much. I think, you know, like I trust in my ability to know, like, I'm also setting realistic expectations. Like, here are some of the things that we're going to be up to. And I think a big part of that, I know the market. You know, knowing, hey, there's going to be, you know, I ask so many questions up front, but it's to make sure that I'm like, hey, what are the things that we absolutely need to find? What are the things that you really want? And what are the things that, you know, would be awesome to have, but like, you don't care, like if we don't get it. Maybe it's if it's a pool, maybe just a spot that's going to, you know, not in an HOA that's not going to let it happen. Maybe you can put one in. Just these little things, but I ask so many questions up front. I ask questions about motivation. I ask, yeah, I mean, just, you know, I try and have a good idea. Hey, if you have somebody who's going to be giving you gift, like you have somebody who's going to be doing this, if not, it's a, you know.
Yeah, not my. Yeah.
But just, I mean, I tell people like, hey, in these questions, you and I are on the same, like, we're on the same team here. We both want you to get, you because obviously, me, because because I want to help you get out, have a satisfied. Yeah, and so like the more that we can talk to each other, the more that we can share, listen, this is not stuff. The other agent, like this is the stuff. If we're on the same page, I'm the product that's helping you. You trust me, right? And even if it's somebody who, like, we probably had a conversation or two. I think the more time that you can kind of get in front of your buyers, the more confidence and the more trust they build with you. Usually people want to, they want to have confidence in their agent and they want to have trust in their agent to do right by them. And I just think whenever you do that, you spend some real time talking to people, getting to know them. I ask people, I'm like, hey, how old are your kids? What are your kids' names? Different things like that. I'm like, and they're like, and I never get any kind of pushback. Sometimes I tell them, I'm like, hey, listen, there's going to be time like around April. Like, I need to know, like, who has allergies to what, because I'm going to be sending you guys Easter baskets. Like, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. But it's that extra little bit, I think whenever you can talk to people and you're willing to set conversations, it makes everything else down the line go so much smoother.
Because with conversations, and thank you very much, with conversations, it's building a relationship, right? If you want to be in a relationship with someone, communicate. If you want to be out of a relationship with someone, stop communicating, right? Speaking of the cocky and the confidence, one of my favorite hip hop artists, named Jadakiss, he said one time, and no, I'm not cocky, I'm confident. So when you tell me I'm the best, right? So having that confidence is definitely something that spills over and it's an energy that people can feel for sure. I believe that a lot of that does come with the experience that you have in life in general, in addition to obviously in real estate. Your buyer consultation, we're going to go over what are some of the key elements and things that we need in our buyer consultation and how we can have those conversations to dig deep.
This is a Jadakiss going back. He's gonna be.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, all right.
So you want to come?
Yeah. If he's a client, I'll be Jada.
I'm from New York, so I'm.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
What part of New York are you from?
he is gonna be here.
Nice.
Here.
Really?
In Harrisburg, I think he's gonna be.
HMAC?
HMAC for the June 5th, Juneteenth.
Oh, okay.
He's performing.
Nice.
Oh, June 21st.
There you go. So hopefully we're having the consultations before we're going out to show homes and find homes. Obviously, part 5 is all for negotiate the contract. Part 6 is contract to close, and part 7 is your post-closing system. This is something that I needed to get more purposeful on as I grew into my business is after the deal was done, and most of this is because of the coaches that I had. Coaches that I had came from the Tom Ferry element and philosophical standpoint on sales. And it was just like the next step. The next step wasn't so much about building a relationship and sustaining those relationships after the closing. This is the part that I always encourage my newer agents, and even if you're not new and you are more experienced, that your post-closing systems be as strong as your pre-closing or pre-lead generating systems as well. So keys to converting your A buyer. So we have that lead. And we're on page 14.4 now. You have the lead. They said they reached out to you in your DMs on social media. You bypassed them at church service the weekend before. And they said that I'm interested in possibly buying a home next year or this year or within the next 6 months. Step 1 is to respond right away to lead inquiries. Whenever they come in, obviously whether it's through email or whatever the case may be, text message, getting to them right away. Is there a certain time frame that's ideal for getting back to a lead for conversion purposes? Immediately, yes, within the hour. Okay, that is very, very important that we get back to them right away because it's setting the standard from the very beginning that I am here to be of service to you. And when you reach out, I get back, right? Again, communication builds relationships. Number 2, getting valid and complete contact information, saving it to command and creating an opportunity. This is something that my agents struggle with a lot, and I try to get into them the mindset of creating opportunities right away. You don't have to wait until they've been pre-approved or wait until you have the buyer document signed. As soon as you have an idea on their timeline and you have their complete contact info, you make the opportunity then. And then you can categorize them wherever you like, hot, warm, or cold. Right? So, but getting in the habit of creating that because it is an opportunity. I like to use the analogy of you have a classroom full of students and you ask them a question, what's 1 + 1? You have 20 students in the classroom. Okay? You ask the question, what's 1 + 1? Out of the 20, 12 of them raise their hand. Every single one of them has the opportunity to get it right or wrong. They've raised their hand. Now, you don't know at that point, as a teacher, whether they're right, whether they have the right answer, but you know that they have an opportunity to answer it. The rest of them who have not raised their hand, that's a contact. They're in the classroom, they're in your database. But as soon as they mention real estate, I don't care if it's 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years from now, that's an opportunity. At that point, then the follow-up system comes into play. Determining their motivation, you had mentioned that earlier in your consultation. To buy so you can speak to it. What does it mean to speak to the motivation of someone? People usually act off of pain or pleasure, right? That usually gets people in action. How can knowing their motivation help you throughout the transaction when it comes to speaking to it?
So you can motivate them by keeping them in their pain.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, if we don't find a house, you have to continue living with your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
How is that going to impact? You can just be motivated.
Now, I want to be careful. We can't motivate people, but we can tap into it. The flame has to be there. We can add the gas to continue to ignite it when need be. And I tell you, one of the places where the motivation, knowing the motivation comes up is during that negotiation portion. When you're negotiating their offer that they want to put in, or when you're negotiating the home inspection. Right? So I can go back to the consultation and say, remind me again why, I literally had this conversation when I'm on the way up here. This is for my best friend, my brother, my best friend, my everything, best man in my wedding, everything. I'm helping him sell his home. And he's reached out to me because he's talked to some other people who are telling him this and telling him that about, we can do this for you, I can buy your house cash, and then all this kind of stuff, right? So as opposed to getting frustrated with the fact that you're even talking to them, you talk to them because your best friend is a realtor, but I'll put that on the side for now. I asked him today, remind me again, what is your objection? What are you trying to accomplish by selling? Remind me again, why do you want to buy a home? Because when we consulted about this, you mentioned to me that you're due in August, you want to be in your home before you give birth. It's June. So maybe we should not mention the fact that the light fixture, the light bulb is not, it's broke in the home inspection, right? Let's focus on the big ticket items because my goal is to be of service and to get you in a home by the time you want. And if I don't remind you of the reason why you want to buy your home, I would not be doing you a service. Okay? So speaking to it, knowing what their motivation is very important for you to speak to it, to remind them, because sometimes we need a reminder of what's really important, because we lose sight of it in the nuance and the weeds of a transaction. And I also want to remind us as agents to also give our clients grace. Someone once said that a real estate agent should be forced to buy or sell a house every 5 years. So they're reminded of how stressful the process is. So we get stressful about handling the things, but our level of stress is nowhere near compared to theirs, especially if they're a first-time home buyer or a first-time home seller. They've never experienced this before. I bought a house last year and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. And I help people buy homes and sell homes all the time. But when you go through it, it's completely
Like
different.
buy and sell at the same time?
Oh, yes. I tell my clients every time when I have clients that are buying and selling, it's going to be stressful. We're going to go through some hurdles together, but my goal is to get us to the finish line. That is like stress overload, buying and selling at the same time, sure. And then once we get to the motivation, we're going to set an appointment, a time and a date for as soon as possible. Why is that important? Why do you want to set that appointment as soon as possible?
They are as motivated as they're going to be.
When they reach out to you or they've been referred to you, they're at the peak motivation in terms of them wanting to make a move and do something, right? And life happens. So if you wait to set it, then you could have possibly missed that opportunity when they were at their most motivated point. And you may have to wait weeks or months for them to get to that point again. That pain pressure or that pleasure pressure is probably at its highest when they do reach out. When you do finally speak to them on the phone or they're going back and forth with you in a text message, capitalize on that. Don't wait to act. For sure. Question, we're going to talk a little bit higher level because we have some more experienced agents in here who already has their appointments blocked out in their calendar. Time block already set. If your goal is 2 appointments a week, who already has those 2 appointments blocked out in their calendar? Time block, ready to go. Who time blocks? Who utilizes the system of time blocking? Oh, I know it is. Absolutely.
I'm just looking around.
He's just looking around.
Time blocking is a massive, it's huge. A lot of people have the misconception that time blocking actually restricts you when it comes to your time, but it's actually the opposite. It actually opens it up more. It makes you even more flexible. You have that conversation with that client to set an appointment. I'm available on Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. Which works best for you? Again, you're setting a standard of professionalism. I very rarely ask my clients, just tell me what works for you. I'm flexible. And then they give you a time and date, and you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I have to pick up my son from flag football at that time. Do you have, when you call the doctor or you speak to a professional attorney, they tell you what they have available, right? They don't just tell you what you pick, whatever you want. The best case is that they tell you, okay, I'm free this day between this time and this time, but that's the best you're going to get. I implore you to operate your business the same way. Another thing that works well with setting the appointments ahead of schedule, ahead of time, is it's a motivator for you to fill in that appointment. It also is a level of completion and confidence when you do set it.
I used to number my appointment slots, so that way when I did change it to a buyer consult, I knew like, okay, I have to fill 2 more this week, because I might have, 9 appointment slots available, but I'm not gonna take all 9. I mean, it'd be a killer week if I did, but I would have a number, so that way I knew, all right, I filled 3 of them, that was my goal, anything else is just.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're tracking it as you're filling them. You're also holding yourself accountable, and just keep in mind that because you locked it in at that time, that day, you can move it, right? Just don't delete it, but move it. And then let's say you don't have an appointment, and that's more time for me to regenerate, to get an appointment. So if you set Thursday at 1 o'clock for a buyer consult, but you didn't get the buyer consult, then lead generate more, focus in more, make more calls, send more text messages, whatever the case may be, so you can start setting them up for the next week. 7 close to appointment tactics. This is on page 14.5, next up in our handout. It says on here, don't leave any conversation without asking for the appointment multiple times. The worst they can do is say no. I mentioned earlier that I was coached by two of the top 5 agents in my market center at that time in 2018, 2019, 2020. And they taught me, when you're calling, because I built my business on, fit goals and expired, mostly expires in the very beginning. You should not hang that phone up, that conversation up without asking for it at least 3 times. Beginning, the middle, and the end. So obviously, when you're cultivating, you're building relationships with your SOI, it's different, right, than an expired call or a physical call. However, you should ask for the appointment at least 1 time, but the suggested is multiple times, more than 1. Now, the way you close can vary. You have to show the benefits closing. Show the benefits of what? What do you think they're referring to? Show the benefits of what? Yeah, or meeting with you. Why should I? Because remember, when you ask for an appointment, you're asking for someone's time. And it has to be of value to them for them to want to take their time to do whatever else they would like to do to meet with you. So what would be the benefit of meeting with me? What can I show? What can I do to show that it's beneficial for them to meet with me now as opposed to waiting until next month? Anyone have any suggestions? Why would it benefit a buyer to meet with you now? Let's say a buyer reaches out to you. You got their contact information.
Because you don't want them to lose an opportunity. Like, I get buyers all the time. After they see a property on the market, and you're like, okay, now we have to move, quickly. So I think it's to prepare them to find that person.
Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely. So your closing can be, you know what? I don't want you to miss out on any other homes that you love, that you've seen recently. Let's schedule an appointment before the end of this week for us to meet to discuss your home buying journey. That's the way I outline it, is we're gonna map out your home buying journey. Depending on how I pre-qualified them on the initial conversation, meaning timeline, whether or not they have any money for a down payment or closing costs, whether or not they've already met with or spoken to a mortgage lender. Those pre-qualifying questions, the way that conversation goes, will determine whether or not I want to meet with them before they have the pre-approval. Because some people believe I'm not going to meet with you until you have a pre-approval. I say it depends. It depends because you meeting with them prior to a pre-approval can go a long way in building rapport and a relationship with them, so that once they do get it, you're the first person they call. So if you have the flexibility in your calendar for those kind of appointments where I just want to discuss your home buying needs and wants, get them excited about the process, have them fill out the CIS, that's not going to hurt anything, right? Something in writing so that we establish some level of professional relationship here. And a lot of times what I also do is I will see if I can correlate my mortgage lender to be there as well. If I could get you pre-approved on the spot when we meet, would that be something that you would like to, would that be something that you'll be open to? Oh, you know what? Yeah, sure. Because some people, you have to set the table for. Other people, you just give them the ingredients and they'll cook the meal and they'll take it. Those are the best kind of clients that we have, is the ones you just give them a little bit and they run with it. Others, you got to go to their house, you got to prep, you got to cook, you got to sit it down in front of them, so knowing what kind of clients you're dealing with also can help determine, how deep you're going to go into when it comes to, the closing for the appointment and how you set the appointment up. The take back close. What do you think the take back close is referencing? Taking back what?
Control the conversation.
Possibly. I like that. What made you go there? Tell me more.
So, I know sometimes I say this because when I think of clothes, you think of like feeding the vehicle.
Correct.
So, and sometimes when you meet with clients, they kind of want to push things off.
Mhm.
Maybe like take control of the conversation and then up to the outcome.
Sure, absolutely. Taking back the clothes also references to, you know what? I don't know if this is for you. However, I would love to meet to see where you are right now when it comes to how soon you would like to buy. I don't know if this is for you, but I do meet with my potential clients for about an hour to go over their home buying needs and wants. Does that sound like something that you would be interested in? Or the take back could be, it sounds like to me that you're not ready to buy anytime soon. If you were ready sooner, then I will meet with you within the next week or so. You tell me what is it, how you would like to go. Negative, positive close. The negative, positive close is, you are absolutely right. Inventory is very low right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. And that's exactly why we need to meet. Because I wanna make sure that when we go out to start looking for homes, you are locked and loaded and ready to go. So I do not want you to miss out on your potential dream home by us not being prepared. So you can talk about the negative, because in the room, you know, they watch the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world. They search and scroll on social media. People are saying the things. But then following that up with something positive is how you can reel it in. Give them what they're looking for. How many times have you been in a conversation with a buyer and they want something in particular? They don't care about your system or your process or whatever the case may be. They call you and they say, I want to see 123 Maple Avenue today. How do you handle that? They're not pre-approved. You haven't had a consult with them. You know very little about what they're looking for outside of the fact that they like this home and they want to go see a house today.
So that, I just recently started looking for
Mm-hmm. Was it leads? Okay. That's all right. Now, hold on, let's rewind a little bit, if you don't mind. What made you step into that work?
I wanted to add another line.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, so I wanted to try it. By the end of something really successful. With Zillow Leads, it was never a part of my business, but let me give it a try. So it doesn't work for me. I'm not a big fan because I'm very relationship. It's almost like a cold lead. You know, the way Zillow wants you to work them is that you just show up, show them the one, and then you work backwards. I almost feel like I'm working backwards. So like right now, I do the one. But then I won, I'm coming prepared with everything, my lender, with my recommendation for lender, obviously, the buyer agency, I do the lot, like, in the beginning, because I do find it to be that if you don't know me, why would you sign up? I do like the non-exclusive for that person, just to be in compliance, because I don't believe in having somebody commit to me without. But that's not the Zillow way. That's
Correct.
so, I do the one. So my point is, like, I will show that one and I try as much as I can. It doesn't always work. But I try to have, like, I would say, a mini consultation during that appointment.
Yeah.
Because this is my one try, because this is like a cold lead, we don't know each other. So I kind of like, but it all depends, because you have people who are very like cold and they feel like it's very intrusive. So I kind of Bible whatever. I'll kind of like test it, but if I can, I'm doing like a mini kind of consult while we're walking through the property. We're talking about, I'm trying to get as much information as I can to know how to proceed. So I kind of do the one. And I was kind of forced into that because of it, but I don't really like to do it. But I have been doing it, and it's working 50-50. When it's with strangers, it's a little more difficult, because now we're asking like they feel it can be intrusive, you know, when we're asking about pre-approvals and your finances and all that stuff. I do show the one. Now, if I have a buyer, who I've kind of been like talking to, who actually needs to do that one appointment, if I haven't been able to get them in the office, I will show them. And I show that one, like, this is year one, but we can't do this because we're not prepared, but let me tomorrow so I can get you prepared. But so, like, before I was there, I wouldn't do the one, but now I do, and if that's the only opportunity that I have to get you to like kind of reel you in to see where you're at, I'll do it.
Sure. So essentially, what you just shared, and thank you very much for sharing, is giving them give them what they're looking for, is giving them a little taste. Like when we go to Sam's, you have Sam's around here, and they give you a little sample, like, oh, you know, that's actually good. So give them a little bit, but still, you know, so we can, because sometimes if you're too rigid in the way you do it, you definitely turn people off.
Yeah,
For
and
sure. And
if the one, somebody will give you
Yes.
the one. And then all of a sudden, because that other person shows them the property, they now feel like that person.
Absolutely.
So,
And a great question to have, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. A great question to have is, tell me why that's important. You know, like, for example, I had someone call in from I do farming in one of my neighborhoods in the township, and they called in and wanted to know the price of their home. I don't like to talk about price over the phone at all. She kept asking me, I just want to know the price. And so while she's asking me, I'm still trying to pull out other little pieces of information, you know, so how soon are you looking to sell? And, you know, how long have you been in the home and so forth and so on. But eventually I had to give her what she wanted, or I was going to lose the opportunity altogether. So I looked up on RPR real quick, through her address, and so you know, this is not, you know, a full comprehensive evaluation, but this is around what you would be looking at on the market right now. So you have to bend a little bit sometimes to give them what they want to be able to go to the next level, or to even get an opportunity to get to the next level. In order to win the game, you got to play the game.
Well,
Absolutely, 1,000%. Yeah, for sure. Always keeping compliance in mind. Yeah. Or teetering the line of compliance. There's other different types of closings. If you are someone who feels apprehensive about the close, ChatGPT, top 10 closings for a buyer consultation. ChatGPT, do you use it?
I do.
All right. Let's be honest. You can be honest. I'm talking about agents all the
I
time.
got it up right now.
There you go. Yeah. The main thing, sure. Yeah. Always for the phone. Yeah, sure. Okay. Buyer objections to the appointment. We're going to do a little role play exercise. Oh yeah, your favorite thing to do, role play. But we're gonna handle buyer objections to the appointment. Asking questions is number one. Empathize. These are strategies that you can use to handle buyer objections. And this is on, yep, we're on page 14.6. So, number one is asking more questions. Two is to empathize, completely understand. Three, identify the real issue. A lot of times what we get is surface level. There's the difference between an objection and a condition. An objection is surface level. It means you haven't built enough trust before to get the appointment. A condition, it means no matter what you say, they're not going to be able to do anything. My husband just died yesterday. I'm not listing my house for sale. Not happening. Right? So you have to be able to determine which is which. When you get the condition, then we go back into empathy, and we just ask them for permission to follow up at another time. You never want to keep pushing the envelope for a condition, because now you're showing that you are just in influence, right? Offer a solution. You can only offer a solution when you truly identify what is the real issue. Anything other than that, you're wasting your time. You're putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, right? So I don't know if you guys have exactly what to say. Amazing book. If you haven't read it.
That's probably like the Bible in this.
Exactly. Okay. Right. So you have great leadership. That's what that means. You have great leadership. An urge and agreement. I would like to work with you. I hope that you would like to work with me. These are the forms that I need to have completed to comply with my office and my market center. Blame it on the broker. And also to establish the fact that you and I are working together. You want to say something? Okay. So who would like to role play with me? I'm going to, let's say the scenario is that you are someone who reached out to me on social media. You saw that I listed one of my homes for sale in the area that you're interested in, and you just DM me, hey, what's the price of the home? And then I said, oh, that's a great question. What's the number? What's the best number for me to call you? You gave me your number, and now I'm calling and we're talking. All right? That's the scenario. You'll be the buyer. I'm going to be the agent. Who'd like to be the buyer?
Love learning from you.
No, go ahead. Mr. Confidence over here.
Well, I'm here for another 54 minutes, so I can wait. Patient.
Seeing somebody.
Just somebody to be a buyer. Yep. Comedian. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. So I'm gonna do my best to utilize the strategy, see what I use in the strategies in order to get the appointment. Again, my goal is to get the appointment. Okay, set the appointment. So, your name again?
Andrew.
Andrew, also. So, ring, I'm calling you, Andrew. Remember, you reached out to me on social media. You DM me asking about a property that I just listed and I just marketed.
Yeah.
Okay? Ring.
Hello.
Hey, Andrew, how you doing? It's Ricardo. How's everything?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you reaching out to me to see more about this home. And you had asked me what the price was, which I would love to share with you. I'm just curious, are you in the process of looking to buy a home?
Yeah, I mean, we're open to it depending on what the price of that.
Okay, all right. And how long have you been on your home searching journey?
Month or two now.
Okay, all right. So you just kind of getting started. You said we. Is there someone else that's involved in the process?
There is my wife, yeah,
Oh, excellent. And your wife's name?
Joy.
Joy. Perfect. Okay. So you and Joy were interested in this home I just listed in Egg Harbor Township. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And it is listed right now for $475. Does that sound like something that you would like to go take a look at?
I
Whatever you,
want to scale out, like,
however way you want to go. It's up to you.
yeah, I think 475 is feels like our budget, I'm sure.
Okay. Now, you mentioned budget. Are you looking to finance or pay cash for the purchase?
We would try.
You're fine. Okay. And have you already spoken to a trusted lender?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Who are you currently working with? If you don't mind me asking.
We're using Chase. They're a national lender. So, they got us at, I think like 6.3%. And I was like, man, you can't beat that. So,
Nice. Very awesome. Perfect. Okay. So, and are you currently working with an agent, or who are you currently working with to help you with your home buying needs?
well, so we don't necessarily have an agent, in Pennsylvania since we actually live in New York.
Okay.
We don't have an agent. Honestly, it doesn't really matter to us. We just kind of want to go see the house.
All right. Sounds great. Now, what's bringing you down here to this area from New York?
Well, so I grew up going over to, so you said that house was over in Lancaster. So I grew up kind of going to like Bird-Hand area, all the time with my family. And I've always loved that area. I think, we had some stuff happen in the family. I just think we're trying to kind of, start over in an area that brings us joy, so.
Oh, very nice, very nice. And is there an ideal time when you would like to be in your new home in this area?
I mean, for the most part, we can pretty much move, kind of whenever I guess.
Okay, so with you telling me that you can move pretty much any time, it sounded to me that you don't have any contingency where you currently are, meaning you have a home to sell or you have a lease that you're currently under?
Well, I guess I shouldn't say necessarily whenever, but it's more of so my wife's mother is gonna be moving in with us. She is selling her house, and so that is something that, I don't know if you've ever worked, with anybody up in New York, but they kind of give you like a 60-day time frame.
Sure, yeah.
So we're working with lawyers at the moment instead of, agents, but, they just went under contract on her house. And, yeah,
Now, will mom also be involved in the decision of the home that you purchased?
to a degree. I mean, she kind of trusts us to find something that she'll like here as well, but, and she'll, her social security payments will definitely be going to help pay, towards the mortgage, but, I think for the most part, she kind of trusts us, but we will have her, she'd be on the one.
Okay, perfect. So, if it's okay with you, I would love to schedule a consultation. I kind of call it, our home buying journey consult. Where we meet and discuss your buying needs and wants and map out a plan for you to get the home that you're looking for at the lowest price in the time frame that you want. I have available on Tuesdays and Thursdays after 4 o'clock. Does that work well for you, your wife, and your mother-in-law?
Well, so we're still gonna be, I mean, since we're coming down from New York, I don't know that we could really be coming down. I mean, we could maybe do something over the phone.
Sure. Or Zoom. Are you comfortable with Zoom?
Yeah, I'd say I'm comfortable with Zoom.
Okay, all right, awesome. Because I would like to meet as soon as possible. That way, maybe we can schedule something in the following weekend where you can come down and actually view some homes. So I do have availability on Thursday at 5 o'clock via Zoom. Does that work for you and the missus and the mother-in-law?
So I'm actually probably gonna be getting out of work at like 5:30 or something like that.
Okay.
If you do like a 7 o'clock?
Ure, absolutely. I can do a 7. I definitely can do a 7 o'clock. What's the best email address for me to send that appointment to?
Sure, so Drew C. Smith 94 at kw.com.
And your wife's name again?
Sure.
Joy, awesome. And can you give me the best email address for her as well, so I can add her?
Yeah, Joy and Carpenter at gmail.
Excellent, excellent. Andrew, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Looking forward to meeting you and Joy and your mother-in-law, her name?
Sandra.
Sandra, on Thursday at 7 o'clock, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. So what are some things that we got from that? What are some things that you noticed from that conversation? It's the pre-qual conversation to setting the appointment.
Identifying the lender,
Okay, tell me more.
just finding out if they have a connection yet, if you needed to bring your own lender to that appointment or not. I don't know how you would handle the Chase banking, lender that he identified.
Correct.
I think you would try, yeah, you would try to move that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that's something that I would do maybe at the consultation or, quickly thereafter, again, at the more rapport system. Sure. But I think one of the things that I could do to show them is, getting the lender's contact information and having a conversation with the lender as well. Possibly prior to the appointment will be ideal, but even after the appointment, just to kind of see how on point they are. If I can't get in contact with them, imagine how the transaction is going to go, right? Anything else that stuck out to you? What is the motivation? What is his motivation and his family's motivation to buy?
Fresh start.
Fresh start. So there's definitely something there. Now, again, in the initial conversation, I don't know what that fresh start really means. However, it may be something that I could pull out once I have all 3 people and parties involved, right? Because someone may be more open to sharing what that really means as opposed to, someone else. But I always think it's really interesting when you have your consults with the spouses, and one person's kind of one way and the other's the other, and you're trying to find a way to meet in the middle. You don't want to obviously be biased towards one or the other, but there's usually one that's a little bit more loose-lipped than that spills all the tea. Awesome. Andrew, thank you very much. Is there something that stuck out to you?
No, yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, obviously not trying to go too deep in on that motivation, whenever you can tell that there's something,
Correct.
negative there. I mean, if they didn't give it to you, they,
Sure.
yeah, shit. didn't poke too much whenever you haven't earned it yet, nothing like that. Yeah, no, I mean, that was a real thing that I went through here on Friday. Had somebody call me from a listing, and, yeah, that was, pretty much verbatim kind of what we went through, and
Did you set the appointment?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, awesome. Congratulations. Thank you. Very well. All right. The buyer consultation preparation checklist. On page 14.7 in our handout. Number one is confirm appointment date and time. Can I have a volunteer to read number one, please?
You will follow up to confirm the appointment and further pre-qualify by asking any questions you might have missed on the initial.
Very nice job. So in Andrew and I's example, I set the appointment for Thursday night. It's Tuesday now. I will call tomorrow to confirm. I also, I send out a Google form to my buyers and sellers pre-appointment for them to fill out with another series of questions. And some of them I already have asked, some of them I may not have asked. One of the things I add in there is favorite color, favorite food, favorite hobby. Anyone know why I ask those questions? Huh? Exactly, an idea for settlement gifts, and again, just to know them a little bit better. If I know that they're huge Steelers fans, right, I'm in the right area, Steelers, not. Okay, so what are you fans of? Oh, it's always Cowboys fans, Cowboys, right?
Listen, now, Atlantic City, my husband wore his Dallas hat to Atlantic City, he was getting booed on the.
Of course. Yeah, Atlantic City's Eagles country for sure, yeah. Philadelphia Eagles for sure. But just, if you're, you also want to get that information for follow-up reasons as well. Maybe they don't buy right now. They buy in the future. But if I know they're a huge Steelers fan, I may text them on a Monday after a game, hey, great win, good job, you guys set it out, or, oh, I'm so sorry, maybe next time. Giving yourself other pieces of ammunition to use to follow up. Because sometimes, a lot of times, you're like, well, what did we say? I don't know what to say or what to do when I follow up. I don't want to ask the same thing over, like, are you ready now? You know what I mean? So,
That's funny. One of the guys who was also supposed to speak with you here today is actually Saquon Barkley's printer.
oh, really? How about that? Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
What do you think is your, how willing are people to fill out the Google form? Are you getting a decent?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I definitely am. I would say about 85%. Yeah.
What are you sending?
I send it in the text. I text them the link. Link saved in my notes, and I text them and send them the link. Yes, yep. Mhm. And then I tell them this will help expedite our appointment, so I'll have some information prior to, help me know a little bit more about what you're looking for. I'll have on there needs and wants and, credit score. I'll ask the credit, some of those questions that you may not want to ask, you send it to them and it's a lot less, uncomfortable per se, right? Yeah. Number two, confirm appointment location. That I didn't do. Well, no, you did. We said Zoom. You said Zoom. Who would like to read that for me? Number two, please.
Your first, best, and safest choice is to meet in the office. When you meet your customers in the office, it puts you in the driver's seat and gives you an opportunity to display your professionalism and the support systems you have at your disposal.
Absolutely. I always encourage to meet in the office. That's always my number one go-to for sure. It mentions professionalism. You can just show them the other members of the team. Ideally, your lenders are in-house. You can say, hey, this is my lender, or maybe you have an in-house title company. You have your lady at the front desk, your director of first impressions. Everyone who's here, and I say this to them, everyone who's here is here to serve you. It's not just me. You get me and the entire KW team, for sure. Number three, ensure all decision makers attend. This is a big one. The volunteer to read, please.
Make sure all decision makers will be present at the appointment. If your buyer answered with more than their name to the lead sheet question, who all is involved with the purchase decision? Request that all parties be present.
Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Andrew and I role played, he mentioned mother-in-law, that's a big one. That's a big one. He said, you know, she trusts us to make, but you know how that goes, right? If mother-in-law is gonna be paying for it and she's gonna be living there, she wants to have a say-so in it. And that will also help you as a realtor to be able to have someone else that you're building rapport with to have on your side. I'm sure she would respect and appreciate that you invited her, you know? And I would, you know, I wouldn't encourage Andrew to say this, but I'm sure Andrew would mention, you know, the realtor said that he would like you to come as well. You know, so can you come on, you know, we all meet together on Thursday? And if she can't make it for some reason, or whoever the other decision makers are, it's up to you. And at the appointment, again, life happens to go through, but I would still schedule something after that where everyone is involved, or even when you go to for this first showing, to get everyone there as much as possible. Because it's nothing worse than going to show a house to a spouse and they love it, and then you guys schedule it again because the other one didn't see it, and then now you're dealing with a situation where in our market right now, time is of the essence. Every day matters significantly. So I'm sure if they love it, someone else loves it too. And that's part of what I will explain at the consultation. Ideally, I would like for all of us to be here. If you can't be here, maybe have yourself available for FaceTime because we want to be ready to go if it's the home that you love. Number 4, complete your buyer guide. Volunteer to read, please.
Have all your buyer materials prepared and printed for when the buyer comes for the appointment. Include your buyer agency representative.
Absolutely, 1,000%. Come prepared with your documents. My coach went on a listing appointment a couple of weeks ago, and she made a mistake of not bringing the listing agreement because she thought it was just meeting to discuss things. And I said to her, I said, you know, I know better, but I said, my coach always come with the paper. I don't care if it's just, we're just chatting to chew and just get to know each other. You never know how much you might hit it off. And then they say to you, okay, so where do I sign? You're like, oh, well, no, be prepared. Be
I
prepared.
just love the listing. So, she said, I want to sell in 3 months, right? So she said, but come by, just to tell me what I have to do. So I did that. We spoke very she's like, all right, cool. She said 3 months. It's like, I'm giving myself a deadline. Great. So I spoke to her, let's say on the 1st, and I'm like, on the 30th, I wanted to check in on her progress. She already signed it. So when I asked her, she said, honestly, the lady just asked me to sign it that time. Like, it wasn't like, because I wanted feedback.
Sure.
I wanted that feedback. I wanted to know.
She took the opportunity to.
She's the lady, you know, you can't even be mad.
No.
You can't even be mad at that. And guess what? That 3 months actually is turned into a month and a half.
Exactly.
So I that just happened, and I'm like, this is the last. I'm gonna close it right there.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because that was a good one that I lost.
Yeah.
But just listening to her timeline.
Thank you very much for sharing that and being open and transparent about it. Absolutely, for sure. That's actually 2 ahas. Number 1 is to always come prepared with the documents to ask.
Yeah.
Because I would ask, one of my favorite asks is there anything stopping you from signing today? Well, you know what? When you feel like that, not really. You know, because you can sign today and we can do the preparation to get on the market over time. And the second one is their timeline is never their timeline.
Right.
I always cut it in half. Always cut it in half. Whatever they tell me, I always cut it in half. If they say reach back out to me in September, I'm reaching out back in July. Right? Depending on how soon it is to September or whatever, but I always cut it in half. Yes.
Do you, whenever you're asking that question, is there anything stopping you from signing today? Do you ask it that way, or do you ask it something like, I don't assume that there's anything that's stopping you from signing today, right?
That's a good question.
How do you?
I usually ask it the way that I said, however, depending on the situation
On the person,
and on
right.
your style,
Yeah.
that's a great way too. The assumptive one is very, very good. One of my top agents in my program, he uses that a lot in his cold call. He cold calls expired and physicals a lot.
Yeah.
And he uses that one a lot. Yeah. All right, number 5. Prepare the meeting space. Volunteer to read, please?
Be sure your meeting area is clean and organized and all technology is in working order, whether meeting in person or virtually via a video conference.
So small thing, but can go a long way, for sure, for sure. You're smirking why?
I just went through the hiring process for a new director of first impressions.
Mhm.
And although most of the videos we did were via Zoom, the way some people showed up on Zoom, the level of professionalism that was not there was astounding.
Did anyone show with a bonnet on their head?
I mean, I'm just like,
Yes.
it's director of first impressions.
Yes.
This is how you're meeting.
First impression.
Right.
Wow.
In the title. So whether it's virtual or not, you still have to, and I'll say as the person right now who's responsible for maintaining the first impression of our market center.
Mhm.
If any of you ever come in and find it in a situation that it's not, you're not proud to show it to a client, like that's something I want to
I
know.
thought you were gonna say, if any of you ever come in.
I know, if you don't look
That's the-
professional. I thought you was going out like, oh, I'm a bear putting out there, okay.
Want to make sure that.
Yes.
And you are proud to show your.
Absolutely, that's a very good point.
That, you know, we have all the things, you know how to get coffee for your client.
Mhm.
If we don't have someone at the front desk, like I want it to be that experience.
Correct.
My office. Oh, anyway.
Yes, 1,000%. So yeah, so rushing an appointment, you're sweating, you're out of breath, all those kind of things, obviously can have a significant impact on your first impression. So be prepared, come early, make sure the space is available, the conference room is available, schedule ahead of time. Okay, all those things matter. And number 6, review the lead sheet.
Go over the lead sheet right before the consultation so the buyer's profile and goal is clear in your mind.
This is one that I struggle with, and when I do it, I feel so much more relieved and relaxed. When I don't, I'm so much more uptight and anxious.
So this is like your Google form that you're sending?
Yes,
out?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. They fill it out prior to. I'm also, when I'm having that pre-qual conversation, I'm obviously taking notes in my command, right? So I have my notes, and then I have what they've shared with me. You want to go over those things before the meeting, so then when you're in the meeting, it's nice to bring up things. So I noticed that you put purple's your favorite color. That's the same as mine. Those little, again, I noticed that you said you're looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So is 2.5 a need or a want? Would you be okay with 2? Oh, okay, they actually looked over it. Again, you go to the doctor says, so I looked over your history and I see you, you're like, oh, I think we gotta remind ourselves that we are also consumers. We're also buyers and sellers of things, right? And you want to treat people the way you want to be treated. Think about when you've gotten great service at a restaurant, when you've gone to your doctor, Chick-fil-A, right? You know you're gonna get great service at Chick-fil-A. And the reason, and you knowing that, now you refer that to other people. You never been to Chick-fil-A, oh, you gotta go. It's McDonald's don't got nothing on so, and again, when you start getting referrals, it's because you've exemplified in that standard and that level of service.
I love that you mentioned that. Julie has, on Coffee and Conversations, Julie has shared an experience she had recently where she went to a new chiropractor and she was having a very specific issue that she wanted to address with this physician.
Yeah.
And she said she went in and the doctor literally just put her on the table, cracked her and like never consulted with her. Like could have exasperated me.
Absolutely.
If he wasn't careful.
Absolutely.
And she said that was a huge aha for her, that she has to consult, like she has to ask for people all the questions.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you're like a number, you're on an assembly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Now, you know.
You know that when you leave, you're like, oh, violated.
Right.
What just happened here, right? Yeah. Exactly. Very, very true. Very true. Top 10 service areas of the buyer value proposition. Needs analysis. We are on page
$14.11.
Okay. Buying needs and out, yeah. That starts it. Buying needs and out on 14.11. These questions and more appear in the buyer presentation in Design in Command. What type of home, if you're looking for, it's a whole plethora, if you're looking for questions to ask for your consultation, to get to know more what the buyer's looking for, you can use these, and you can chat GPT for many, many more. Pre-qualify or pre-approval, again, you never want to, I was always coached not to ask, have you been pre-approved? Right? That's a question that we don't want to ask. The way that I asked it, you saw when I role played with Andrew, are you gonna be paying cash or financing to buy your home? Andrew, you said never, why?
Not that I wouldn't, I guess.
Asking it that way. Right, right.
I mean, at a certain point, yeah. That's especially never like.
Correct.
Certain questions, yeah, like, yeah.
Well, and I think as a buyer, if you answer no to that question, it makes you feel a little like.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
missed something.
Exactly.
Me personally, I had a big argument on Facebook.
Yeah.
With the lender who was like, yeah, I want your people should be coming to me first. Well, I'm like, no, the hell they shouldn't. I'm like, they should be coming to me so that I can have stuff from Jeremy McMichael.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
You control the lead, you control the industry.
I've worked with a lot of awful lenders who don't work on nights, they don't work on weekends. They're not gonna call the seller's agent and, and like vouch for my client. Like, there's certain things, like, they're not gonna show up to closing.
Exactly.
And they're saying, like, hey, just so I know, have you been pre-approved yet? If not, it's completely fine. I just wanna, like, where are you guys at?
Correct.
But it's, I don't never ask that like right off the rip. I've talked to people who had to, they talked to other agents who have done it. And they said exactly like you said, it makes you feel some kind of way like, oh, I did something wrong.
Definitely, sure, absolutely. Neighborhood information, obviously what they're looking for, home search. I do a home search during a consultation. I'll pull up my MLS, I'll pull it up on the TV in the conference room, and I actually look through some homes together, getting them excited about the process and explaining to them that when you search for homes on the different sites and everything like that, this is where I go to get more information on the property. So I'll also coach them to send me, instead of sending me the home address, send me the MLS number. There's a number right here that you'll find when you search for homes. Send me this number, I can find it faster when I go look into my system. Okay? Make an offer, negotiate to buy. So again, talking about what you do to provide, what you do as a service to your client. Negotiating to buy, this is a big one, especially now when buyers are curious whether they should use us or straight to the listing agent. Right? Because of, buyer agency and paying and all of the things, the compensation and everything. And the way I explain it to them is that seller's agent is looking out for the best interest of that seller. That is their fiduciary responsibility. You need someone advocating for your best interest. Their best interest is to get the most money possible for their seller. My best interest is for you to pay the least amount of money as possible and to get the terms and conditions that suit you, not the seller. That's where my value comes in, being able to negotiate that at a high level. Vendor coordination, we mentioned that earlier, sharing the fact that you have a team behind you, title, lending, home inspection, home warranties. Like, this is, you don't just get me, you get me and everyone who works with me.
Well, and I think even there, after closing,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the opportunity to help them
absolutely.
with, your
Yes,
preferred.
plumbers, electricians, roofers, yes. Pre-close preparation, basically what it is that we go through in preparation for your closing, the final walkthrough and all the things. Obviously being available and being there for closing and seeing that it gets to the finish line. And then explaining to them that, once the transaction is done, our relationship doesn't end there. I'm always here to be of service, i.e. contractors that you may need for things in your home. Who has a buyer guide and consultation workbook? You already have that, it's branded to us and all of the things. This is just something, just a checklist to see if you need to add anything to it. Welcome letter, timelines for the buying process. Most of us have the financial worksheet. A lot of times we're looking to.
Is that clear?
No, it is not. I apologize. It's not a student. But you can take a picture if you like. So,
Compare to mine.
correct. Yep. Reasons to buy a home. Some people who are still renting, they don't maybe necessarily see the full benefits of buying a home. The financial worksheet is a really good one. Interest rate chart, or chart to show them how the interest rate impacts their home buying power. Why doing it, why now is better than maybe waiting for the future. Mistakes to avoid. This is a really, really big one. The do's and don'ts, the do's and don'ts of buying a home. Don't buy a car or finance a car when you're buying a home. Don't do anything. Don't get any credit card. Once we lock in that you're pre-approved, wait until after. Don't go buying furniture, put furniture on credit, nothing like that. Right? We know, and from our experience, whenever I share something with a client, I always like to say from my experience. It's not just me saying this, is an experience that I've had with other buyers in the past that have ruined their opportunities to buy a home because they did X, Y, and Z. If you don't have a buyer's guide, Command does have one, a template already available where you can edit it and make it your own. You know, you got to put the Command commercial in there. Your buyer guide should have a table of contents outlining what it is that's in it and what page they can find it on, especially depending on how large it is. Because most of the time, they're going to consume very little of what you share with them at that consultation. Most of the time, they'll go back and reread over some of the things, and you can always reference to it if they ask you questions in the future. So you can ask, what's next? Okay, if you remember, do you still have the buyer guide that I shared with you? Yeah. Well, if you notice on page 12, it explains X, Y, and Z just for future references, so you know. But yes, we are going to be moving forward to the home inspection. So give them what they want, but then also reference them back to that guide, because then that will help alleviate those questions that will come up later when you would rather them use the reference that you gave them.
If you need help creating your buyer guide.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Your needs come first. That's why we're here. This is just an example of the buyer guide. Build your preference profile. So, have you considered who my main contact will be? So, who they can go to and having a profile established is very important. The what, the when, the how, that's about the best way to get in touch. So I ask this question in all my consult, what's your favorite way to receive information or updates? Okay. Also, letting them know your level of communication that works best for you is very, very important. So this is a part of establishing those standards and expectations. The expectations, establishing those from the beginning are very, very important. The buyer guide home breakdown, this is on page 14.9. Who will be living in the home? What are the non-negotiables for your home? If you had to name your top 5 non-negotiables, what would they be? And I remind them that this means that if it does not have this element, you do not want to even see the property. That's what non-negotiables are. I go over that also with them when I want to prepare them for the home inspection conversation. What you're telling me is, If you say this is a need, you need this to be done before you buy the home, that you're saying that that they don't fix this, then you're not buying the home. Is that correct? Oh, well, no, I'm not saying that. Okay, well then, that means so what? And reminding them of the difference. Same thing again with their home buying. You're saying that if you want a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with granite countertops and hardwood flooring and a fenced-in backyard, if I have a home that I see that does not have a fenced-in backyard, are you saying that you don't want to see it? Well, no, I'm not saying that. Okay, well then that's a want, not a need. If I have a home that has a fenced-in backyard, but it does not have hardwood flooring, do you still want to see it? Okay, so reminding them of the needs and wants, because what you don't want to happen is they see something that is under contract that you didn't send them or notify them about. And then they say, well, why didn't you say, well, you told me in our buyer consult that that was a need. And it did not happen. Okay, well, okay, now things have changed. And then reminding them of those things when you're going out to see properties as well as really also help limit the number of homes that you show to them. Neighborhood insights, we have templates in neighborhoods that are in command. We know about the neighborhood nurture and all of that good stuff. Your buyer guide, how home buying works. Again, so going through the home buying process is all available for you in command. It outlines everything for you there. Home loans made simple. Again, your affiliates we work with. Your buyer value proposition. If you don't have the numbers on your own, you can always leverage your market center numbers. Obviously, when it comes to homes sold in the area, average sale price, digital market, so forth and so on. Anything from the home buying guide perspective that you want to add to your guide? And I know most of you, if not all of you, already have your guide. Is something that you've been wanting to add that you haven't added or that we shared today that you want to add? And just in general. Oh, okay, so you had to get yours done.
I mean, we got the,
Outline template. Correct. So you want to make one branded to you specifically as opposed to just what's already prepared? What's the first thing that you can do to move closer to getting that done?
I think I could probably not.
Okay, all right. Final answer? Final answer. You're locking it in, all right. When you're waiting to become a millionaire real estate agent. How about that?
We're so proud to hear you say.
They still probably already have, who wants to be a millionaire real estate agent? Make like a game show out of it? They just gave you a jewel. There you go. There you go. Conducting a buyer consult. Preparing for it. I am knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for these clients. They will appreciate my expertise and preparation and choose me to represent them as they buy a home. Affirmation. This is an affirmation to say to yourself in preparation for those consultations. For any of us who might get nervous, you can also use this for any of us who may get nervous about the ask. You are the best agent for them. Remind yourself of that. You just got to help them figure it out. You already know that you are. Welcome the buyer. So we just get in. We can role play. The buyer comes into the consultation. How do you welcome them? What's your introduction? How do you get started? I want to be the buyer this time. You be the agent and share with me how you start your consultation.
Bet y'all are wishing you would have volunteered early.
Yeah.
Yep.
You said, I'm already done.
I'm done. Person's like, I got it. Yeah. Time. The safe space.
I set the tone.
I
very
promise.
informal.
I promise the safe space. You're getting into it. I do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
I really don't want to do it. Don't look at me, I don't want to do it.
Okay. No problem. Anyone else?
Not gonna be 3 minutes.
No, we're not, no.
Like, Scott,
Okay, I mean, it depends on who it is.
Okay, so let's say it's someone that is, I'm an SOI. And I reached out to you and I know that you're a great realtor and I'm looking to buy a home. It's me, I'm solo, bachelor, all right, no kids. And I'm walking to your office and you meet me at the front desk. And now we're gonna go sit down.
All right. All right, okay. Sorry, I forgot your name. I'm trying to
Okay,
find it. Ricardo, okay. Hi, Ricardo. Come
Hello.
on in. Nice to
Thank
see
you. Thank
you.
you so much. I appreciate you meeting with me.
Yes. How's your day going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Oh, man, it was a long one, but, you know, I'm here now and I'm really excited about what I need to know to buy a home. This will be my first time buying, so I really appreciate you reaching out to me.
Awesome. Well, I'm so happy you could come in. I have some materials here for you that we can go over.
Perfect.
Yeah. How far do you want me to go?
So I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay, all right. So, tell me, what do you know about the home buying process?
So, I'm actually gonna be the first one buying a home in my family, so I don't have a lot of experience personally with it. My best friend bought a home about 4 or 5 years ago, so he shared some things with me, you know, about the buying process in general. And, you know, I looked up some things online. In terms of my own personal experience, I really don't have much. So I know that I gotta get pre-approved, and I guess at some point, we go start looking at the homes, and I know my best friend talked to me about, like, the home inspection, he said that's a really tough part. But other than that, that's pretty much the extent of it.
Okay. Well, I would typically just pull out my buyer guide and start going over things.
Okay, all right, awesome. Well, that's a great job, thank you very much for role playing. I love the question, and that's one that I do ask. What do you know about the home buying process, right? Because sometimes we start our script and they're sitting there like, you know, mind you, this is their 5th home that they bought, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, you know, and some people don't like to interrupt or, you know, so asking, you know, what do you know? How familiar are you? I like to use numbers a lot. So I'll say on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 meaning that you can teach it to someone else. 1 meaning you have no idea what it is that home buying is about, what's your comfort level, and you can't use 7. I tell them you can't use the number 7. Why? Why do you think I say you can't use the number
I don't
7?
know.
Because that's the statistically,
Everybody will think
the probability, most people use 7 because it's a comfort level. Exactly. So it forces them to cross that threshold of
Okay.
how confident they are versus how much they are not. 7 is like no man's land, for real. Okay, all right, great, thank you so much, appreciate it. So, any other questions that we haven't gone over so far that you do ask in a conversation for some of us who do have them on a regular basis, maybe that we haven't shared so far? Because that was one that we didn't share yet, you know, how much do you know about the home buying process, which is really, really good. Okay, so we're going over mostly all of it. All right, awesome. The buyer needs analysis, again, your wish list, you know, what are they looking for? Love letter, do not send out love letters, liability letters, what it will actually wind up being. So sometimes the clients will ask, you know, can I send a letter? Can I send an email? Whatever the case may be. You don't want to put anything in writing that may sway the seller to choose your buyer over someone else's. Okay? Now, you could ask the listing agent, is there anything outside of terms and price that your seller is looking for in a client? And if they share something with you that correlates to what your client has to provide, like some sellers, they want to sell their homes to a young family. You're right? They don't want to sell it to an investor. Okay? Or, you know, because they want someone to grow up in it and be a part of the neighborhood or whatever the case may be. So if they share something with you that lends itself to your client, then obviously you will say, oh, wow, that's perfect, because my clients are X, Y, and Z, or they do, they were born and raised here in the area, whatever the case may be. All right, getting the signed buyer agency agreement is a really, really important part of the process. We're here on page 14.12, close for agreement. Ask for an exclusive agency agreement called the buyer representation agreement. Check with your market center for a copy. You all have that. Below are sample conversations. Once the buyer agrees, share the buyer representation agreement, explain it, ask them to sign it, and then thank them. Do you introduce the buyer agency agreement, the beginning, the middle, or the end?
No. Because of the- Or be honest, I didn't believe in it. And I know that's. But for me, I always had, like, if you don't want to work with me, that please, I'm gonna push you to work with me, and then I can you. So I don't want to, obviously, about the rules. But now, obviously, I have, depending if I have a relationship and I'm doing the traditional, buyer consultation, I'll bring you friends. I'm doing the Zillow or totally meeting somebody at a property. I'm doing the non-exclusive until I get the next appointment to have the conversation about representation and how I work and all that. So it all depends on the situation, but ideally in the first.
And the first appointment, at what point during the first appointment do you do it? You said, you mentioned in the beginning, so you do it right at, like,
So, like if it's a Zillow, I'm walking in because we're not even supposed to open doors now, whatever. I'm like, and I had this conversation on the phone. Because of the new rules, I just wanted to let you know that before I let you in the property, I had to go over a few things. And right outside, I have a clipboard, and and I kind of like briefly go over the agreement. And I only date my non-exclusive for a week.
okay,
Because after that week, we're gonna have several conversations and I wanna move on to the other one. Especially with Zillow, because I don't want, I'm paying for that, so I'm not gonna be non-exclusive so that you can just put down any house and get, 20 different agents working with you. So I'll date it for a week, just open that first door. If they don't want to sign an exclusive after that one, there have been times that I've had them sign for an individual property,
yes.
but I don't really like entertain if they're not gonna be committed to.
Right. So in the consultation, thank you very much for sharing. What are some practices that you use in terms of introducing the agency?
I have, how buyer agents get paid in my consultation.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, it goes through either using the the buyer agency, or I guess I should say cooperating buyer compensation versus concessions and how it might be presented.
Okay, okay. So you explain to them the different ways that you get paid. And then you
Right.
tie into that, the agreement and how that can solidify that.
Yeah, I guess I say my fee, how we can ask the sellers to pay for that fee in those
Gotcha,
two different ways,
gotcha.
and then, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Close for the buyer agency representation agreement number 1. All I ask in exchange for my superior's customer service promise is that you agree to work with me exclusively. Does that sound fair? Can we sign and agree on that? That's very aggressive. But I'm assuming, not assuming, the best practice is that you submit this, you close on this after you've already explained the entire process, what you do, how you serve them. Obviously, you've built a great rapport during the consultation, so that now, here's what we do. Close for the buyer representation agreement number 2. About to read that one, please.
What we're going to do now is sign the buyer's representation agreement, which puts me to work for you. You're giving me the tool I need to represent you in your purchase. This tool, I have the opportunity to negotiate for you and get you the best. And getting the best deal is important to you, isn't it? Perfect. Then let's do the right thing. Sign the buyer's I'm sorry, I just like, I have to say that. Sign the buyer's representation agreement and put me to work for you.
Awesome. What made you laugh about that? Cause I started to chuckle as well. The part where it says, that let's do the
Let's
right
do the
thing.
right thing. I don't know, that's what it sounds like. Let's do the right thing. That's how it sounds like. Really, I don't know.
Yeah. So obviously the script, you can change it without, well, is there anything in that you do like? In that script?
I like how it's explaining what you're about to do. Yeah, the last part, doesn't know.
Yes, that's right, yes. I like that part where it says, I have the opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
to negotiate for you and get you the best deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they use the word tool. This is a tool that gives me the opportunity.
Right,
Right?
yeah, I like the first part, which
Yeah.
is the second part.
Awesome. Anyone else, something in that script that sticks out to you that you like or don't like? Outside of what you just.
So I don't know, when I first read it, perfect, let's do the right thing. I don't know if I would have
Correct, yes.
like me, but, another, so when I work with English buyers, like speak English and Spanish buyers.
Mhm.
Spanish buyers is funny. They never ask me why they have to sign it.
Yes, yeah.
So like they don't ask, and I was like so concerned when the rules changed and we had to talk about compensation and how they may have to pay us. I was like so nervous about it. When I tell you that I'm just like, this is what requires for you to work with me, this is saying that you're signing this so this is showing you're committed to working with me and I'm committed to helping you buy this house. And, never do they ask. Now, if I have more of an American buyer, they're more hesitant. They're more hesitant, like, what is this? And I always, and this might just be me, and when I do have them sign it, I'm like, and just to let you know, but anytime you feel that I'm not, doing that for you, or you decided to go into another direction, I have no problem. Because I don't want anybody, because I'm very big on you, we only work with each other, and I've never had somebody really ask me, but that's kind of how I feel like when they don't want to sign, specifically now that I'm working with like non-relationship clients, Zillow, like, just, this is not gonna work, this has to work for the both of us, I will get you out, and I can either help you find somebody else, or you can get somebody else. So I kind of do that for those colder, I kind of call the cold leads. They're not really cold, but little people be a little
Cold when
weird.
it comes to I did a lot of Zillow. About half of my business was Zillow in my first 2 years in the industry when I was with the team.
Every day I'm like,
Yes,
was gonna make how many people today?
definitely different. And what I will say is, my most loyal clients are from Zillow.
Nice.
So
That gives me
it
hope,
all
but
depends. Oh,
that
yeah.
gives me hope, because sometimes,
Yeah.
like, boy, if I would have been paying for this lead, I would have been because.
I know. There's definitely some diamonds in the rough. Definitely. Close for the buyer representation agreement number 3. A volunteer to read, please.
Can you see how it would benefit you to have a professional looking out for your best interests as you search for the best home and negotiate to get the best deal? Great, this form allows me to represent you and look out for your best interests. Here's how we take care of that. You just need to okay this agreement right here.
Okay. Andrew, what made you laugh?
Here's how we take care of that. You just need to okay this agreement.
Right now. Yeah, is there anything in that closing, that you like? Any terms, words? I do like the term best interest. When people hear that, it makes them feel, comfortable. I'm looking out for your best interest. Anyone else see anything else in there that they can pull?
I usually say this allows me to represent you.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So the reason why I wanted to go through this exercise is because we always get sharper in our skills in closing, for an agreement, for an appointment, for, whatever the case may be, and getting to see different scripts and get different perspectives is really important so that we can kind of, mold and build one that works best for us. There's never one way of doing anything. So very little times is there one way to do things. All right. All I'm gonna ask, that is what I had, that's all I have for you today. I'm gonna ask any final ahas. I need two final ahas before we go. Something that we discussed today that you would either share with someone else or implement into your business as soon as possible.
Like how you asked about credit score and stuff on your Google form. I have that too, but I don't ask any financial stuff, so I'm gonna have that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for sharing. Any other ahas? One more.
Ask for the appointment.
What was that aha for you?
Well, unrelated, I have a listing appointment later, so I'm just.
Oh.
Ask for the signature.
Close it.
Yeah, okay. Do you have an idea on what your closing is gonna be? Like what you're gonna say to close?
I guess not really, I'm just gonna.
Okay, all right, I will play a couple, like maybe one or two that you have in mind. That way it kind of rolls off a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You know this person? Do you have a relationship?
It's my buyers, it's their dad. that they're
Okay,
selling Now,
nice.
yeah. Always competing against the family realtor, it feels like.
Oh, look, congratulations on the opportunity. You're very welcome. I do have one request. As I mentioned earlier, I am a certified Keller Williams University instructor. As part of my certification, I am required to teach a certain number of classes and also get a certain number of surveys done. The information is not filled out in here, but for event type, it could be in person. Obviously, if you're on Zoom, it will be virtual. For select instructor, my name is in the drop down, so you can click on it and it's going to be Arnell Belgrade. Then for the course, it's going to be when it's Ignite. It should say Ignite Session 13, when the buyer. The region is Greater PA. And I think that's all of the things. So again, my name, Ricardo Belgrade. I'm gonna scroll down. Greater PA region is the region. The course is Ignite Session number 14, with the buyer. And a 4 is the most, that's the best score we can get. I've had people do 1 thinking it was how, but it happened. But I appreciate everyone this morning and this afternoon. Thank you all very much for taking time to invest in your education. And I look very much forward to doing this again. Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those who are on Zoom land. You're appreciated.